Hello all you YouTubers. Today we're going to be working on a 1999 Ford Ranger. We have the typical problem with the cruise control on the steering wheel, the on-off switch, and then also the accelerate and resume switches. Those wear out over time, so we're going to replace those. The first thing we're looking at is the battery. It's kind of important to disconnect the positive terminal on this and then let the vehicle sit for about 20 minutes or so. We let it just drain. Before we disconnected the battery, we had the ignition on. I turned the air conditioning on, the radio on, the lights on, everything, and then disconnect that and then just let that drain. Reason that is we're going to be working near the airbag, and just for safety reasons we don't want that airbag going off, so this is just a very important safety precaution before you start. So let's get inside of the Ford Ranger. Everybody knows if they have one of these or something similar like the Explorer, you have the same problem with these. Over time these switches wear out, so we're going to be replacing these today. Now let's get inside there and take a look at it. Alright, so there we are inside. You can see what they look like. They're all torn up, beat, they're shot. You can find the replacement parts on Amazon.com, about 50-60 bucks for both of them. It does come with a wiring harness. However, we're going to be using the factory wiring harness because everything still works on this. They're just one side is broken. You can see it kind of moves. If you wiggle it, it kind of moves. The other side is good, but you can see the buttons are all just torn up on it. So that's what we're going to be working on. So the first thing we're going to do, there's two bolts that hold the airbag on. That's got to come off. So on either side of the steering column there, on the sides there's little caps there. And behind those caps are two 8mm bolts that we're going to remove. You see the first one there? We're going to remove those 8mm bolts so we can get to the airbag and get that disconnected. So we'll start by popping those out. And then get to our 8mm socket. See? Now, most mechanics already have their 8mm socket out and are ready to go. This guy's an amateur. He's shady. He's not a real mechanic. So here we go. He's getting all set up, and now he's ready to remove the 8mm sockets from both sides. Get them set up in there, break them loose. Here comes the first one. That's going to be an 8mm bolt, and then there's also a big washer on the end of that. And out those come. That's left side he's doing first.
If you want, you can lift this up and get that out of the way.
Yeah, there you go. And that is out. And there you go. That's 8mm with a washer on the end of it. Stick that away somewhere safe. And now the other side, same thing. And this is after removing the little plastic caps that cover those up. And you drop your bolt, never to be seen again. No, just kidding. Got to have fun on YouTube. There, you found it. All right, now here's the important part. We're dealing with the airbag, so we've got to be very careful with this. The yellow wire is the key thing on this. Anytime you're dealing with airbags, it's typically yellow wire. That whole unit's just going to come up, and we just want to take that and kind of lay it out of the way so we can get to our controller. So what we like to do is just take that and lay that up on top of the steering wheel like so. Just so it's up out of the way. Being very careful of all the wiring harness, and of course, see that yellow wire? That's a connection to the airbag. Don't want to mess with that. Now the great thing about this is there's only two Phillips head screws that are holding each of these in place. So we're going to remove those two Phillips head screws. You can see the wiring harness to this one. The replacement kit you buy will come with the wiring. Like I said, if your factory wiring is good, you want to leave all that in place. That way you don't have to take the steering wheel apart to get to that. And that's what we're going to be doing here. So we'll start by removing. Screw on top.
There's a little ground wire that connects there.
And the ground wire connect on top there.
Broke.
Yep. And this one is broken, so you'll notice that little piece of plastic still on there. We're going to take that off of there. That's typical of those. These get hot. This is Texas. These things get cooked in the summertime. They melt. They get brittle in the wintertime. And this left side, that little connector, obviously just plastic, obviously broke. So the next thing to do, that'll just lift right up out of there. Now just be very careful taking this out. Don't want to mess up the factory wiring on this. And pop, and there you go, that's out. There's your factory. And then the left-hand side, it has all the pins. On the other side, it'll be missing one of those pins. And of course, these are keyed too. The replacement parts are keyed. So what we call idiot-proof. They can only be plugged in one way. You could probably try to jam it in there the wrong way, but you'll notice it that you're doing it wrong. And obviously, make sure you're plugging it in properly. So same thing with the other side. Out the second one comes. And gently remove it. That side is really torn up. And like I said, everything still works with it. All the little micro switches in there still work. It's just, you know, the buttons themselves are worn out and shot and basically gone. And just take your time with these. Be very careful with that factory wiring. Can be a little tight in there. And if we look at that side, on this other side there, it's actually missing a pin. You'll notice out of here it's missing one of the pins, and that's the difference between the two sides. Checking that wiring harness, everything still looks good, everything's punched down. If for some reason that's popped loose from there, those are just punched down. And
probably get them pushed back in there with a screwdriver.
Yeah, if anything looks loose from there, push it back in with a screwdriver. Like I said, just be very careful when you're taking that stuff apart. And then you break out your replacement pieces. This, we've already taken the factory harness off. He's going to start with it. That's the opposite side there. And they actually go on. It's a little funky when you look at it. He's upside down with it. He actually wants to go on that way with it, and that's that side. Like I said, that's keyed, so it'll only go in one way. The on and off switch is on the left-hand side. The Excel, Resume, and etc. is on the right-hand side. And then, of course, that goes back on there. And this broke, so he's got that little piece of plastic there. He's going to take that off of there. There we go. That's gone. That's busted. And that one's ready to go back on. And
magnetic tip screwdriver Phillips might work a little bit better for you.
Yeah, a little tight. Yeah, don't lose it. That was goes under there. Goes on metal.
No, it wouldn't on top.
Goes on top. You sure?
Yeah, I'm positive.
Okay. I thought it went on the bottom. Are you saying it went on top?
Yeah, positive.
If it's wrong, we'll fix it. Yeah, I'll just put that back on to make sure that makes a good ground. Yeah, it was on top, sorry.
It was, yeah.
So he's definitely putting it on the right way. And 2 screws go back in.
Torque to specs.
Yep, snug them up. Not too tight, obviously, but want to make sure they're on there good and tight so it doesn't rattle loose or break again on you. Eventually, over time, it'll probably break again, but this is a quick, easy replacement on these. And again, that's keyed. It can only go in one way. Make sure it's all set in there nice. You've checked it, plugged in good and tight. Line those back up with the holes. And of course, I said at the beginning of this video, this is a 99 Ford Ranger. This works for many years of the Ford Rangers and Explorers are all kind of the same setup with this speed control, cruise control option. So just check and make sure you're buying the right parts for yours. But like I said, different years, very similar, if not the same. All right. Those look good, nice and tight. Airbag comes back down. He's got the top, so he's going to do a 180-degree turn on it. Make sure the wire's not pinching underneath it for the airbag. Everything looks good. Going to line it up the way it goes. Make sure that's in all the way. You can push on it. He's pushing, actually actuating the horn, which isn't working because we disconnected the battery. And back with your 8mm bolts, put them back in. You see, we're looking a lot better here already. Actually start both of those by hand, get them both in and I'll snug them up. Obviously it doesn't need to be over tightened, just nice and snug. Same thing on the other side. And replace our caps. Cap snapped right back in. And we're good to go. Now everything on the vehicle is on. The ignition switch is on, so we're going to go ahead and turn the ignition switch off, turn the lights off, turn the air conditioner. Well, then we're going to take the key, put it to that position. Let's go reconnect the battery, make sure everything is good and safe on the vehicle.
What wrench did you use for the battery?
A 1/2 inch. Battery's reconnected. Yeah, it's a 1/2 inch. These have been replaced. These corrode over time. It's the original factory wiring, but I've had to redo these on it. These have corroded over time. This vehicle overall has got 132,000 miles on it. It's the original brakes, the original clutch. The headlights I just recently redid. The lights still work, but those fog over time. Those are pretty easy to do. Some tinkering with those if you buy those and they don't line up properly. You might have to mess with them to get them aligned properly. I've had to work with them quite a few times to get them where they're properly aligned, not to upset other drivers going down the road. If you get them too high, people will start flashing their lights at you. Anyways, that's all hooked back together there. You hear the alarm on the doors open, so everything seems to be working right. And yeah, you got to hit the clutch in. Truck won't start without it. Everything seems to be working right. There's no way to test this without driving it, so we'll take it for a test drive, and if there's a problem, we'll come back. If not, that'll end the video. Have fun, and good luck with your replacement.